Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Suddards. I'm the CEO of Aptitude Software, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Georg Glantschnig. He's the VP of Dynamics 365 for Finance. And today we're going to be talking about how we're equipping CFOs to really drive transformation inside their organizations. Georg, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have.
Thank you, Jeremy, for inviting me, and really looking forward to the conversation. And I would say let's jump into it right now.
Yeah, fantastic. So we've been working with finance leaders for decades at Aptitude, and I know Microsoft have been as well. And actually the CFO historically has probably had a fairly limited role, actually quite often looking at data going backwards, reporting on history rather than looking forwards. But in the last 5 years, we've noticed a big change, that really they're becoming the strategic driver in the boardroom, and actually the focus of the organization comes down to the data on which, of course, they sit. So for us, that change has accelerated in the pandemic. I just wonder whether you're seeing something similar. We know you did some research recently, so we'd love to hear some of what your findings were.
Absolutely. So at Microsoft, we also, have a deep history working with CFOs together. We just hosted our third edition of Finance Reimagine. It's a fantastic community of, bringing finance leaders, CFOs together, talking about the future of finance, future trends with our customers and partners. And we also, as you said, did a research with about 500 finance leaders to get their perspective on the future of finance. And it was interesting to see that, these leading organizations, they are trying to strike a balance between, speed of business, risk mitigations, cost reductions, growth acceleration, human inventions, and AI. And I think this study really showed that finance teams are facing, calls to innovate from every direction within the organization. And I think CFOs becoming more and more influential, specifically companies who are, really taking digital transformation seriously because they want to see real outcomes, a real impact. And I would say that's where CFOs can really help. And for me, digital transformation is nothing you do overnight. It's like, done it and that's it. It's a continuous, basically, process. And, you really need basically a platform, where you can innovate, where you can solve very complex problems, bring data silos together, and basically enable enterprise decision-making. And I think that's how you, a little bit like you said at the beginning, how do you change from this, what we call back mirror view into something like forward-looking decision-making. You want to simulate, you want to have this kind of what-if scenarios, you want to have planning. And I think also during the pandemic, financial leaders, the expertise, I think, really basically, pulled companies through. They had to make tough decisions, based on internal, external data, based on their models to basically keep companies alive. So I see the role of, my organization, my team, to help these finance leaders, to shift from accounting, reporting to like innovators or change catalysts. So, and I think with the investments Microsoft is doing in AI, I think we have a real position there to lead and hopefully can add a lot of value to our customers.
And I think, for me, there's a lot of the same parallels we see. And it's fascinating that you're sort of seeing the CFO and the CFO function really becoming that transformational change agent within a business, as opposed to just reporting on what might have been kind of the historical performance. And I think that's a big switch that we're just going to see continue to accelerate as well. So if you think about the research and you think about where Microsoft is investing, what are the technologies that you think are really going to make the biggest difference that Microsoft are going to deploy for the finance function to take advantage of?
As I believe we are in such the midst of such an exciting time for finance leaders and professionals. I mean, of course, despite the reputation of being a little bit risk averse, which is part of the job profile. But I think we both have been now in the ERP finance space for decades. But I really think it's fascinating to see how finance leaders, basically took, the place from the backseat now, a place in the front row. And I hope you agree with that assessment, but it's really fascinating to see that. And just to give a little more stats, so in the survey, we had like 79% of these finance leaders, they believe, to meet these future needs, we talked about they must play a significant role, in owning business innovations, in empowering transformation across organizations. And I think now more than ever, finance teams are focused on, transformation, innovation, and specifically on the future. And maybe just to take another stats, another 86% of the finance leaders, I think there's also, they feel it's important that, the senior leadership is also formalizing basically this new mandate they have, so that they are now much more involved in, strategic innovations, in business model innovations, and how to grow the company. So I think this new era of finance really needs, a technology solution, specifically, where finance teams, who are being now pushed to do basically more, but they're not really getting more staffing. So it's, the old saying, how do you do basically more with less? And again, I believe that generative AI, I think, is an absolute game changer here for finance. I think it makes this vision of autonomous financial processes, where ERP systems is not only streamlining workflows and flag exceptions, but you can also use AI basically in trying to solve problems, identify trends, and be more proactive in flagging things. So I think it also makes connecting data and making speedy time in actionable insights, I think on huge data sets, I think really now maybe the first time really possible. And I think even more than before, I think AI also provides this, what we call this assistance to humans. We're not trying to take humans out of the equation. It's really an assistant to everything employing, allowing them basically to do more with less, as we said before. And I think what you can see really this time is that, this linear relationship between revenue growth and financial staffing, I think Microsoft itself has shown how you can basically break this linear relationship. Also, if you think about Microsoft, in the last 5 years, Microsoft doubled the revenue, but the staffing in the finance department in the last 5 years, I think only increased by a couple of percentage points. So I think it's a huge boost in productivity. So I think it's part of the mission my team is trying to deliver on. So how can we, help customers to overcome these traditional blockers of adopting AI, analytics, automation, that we can really boost this productivity.
No, I'd agree with that. And I think the other thing that we're seeing, that to allow that to happen, finance really is this idea of how do we automate everything? And I think if you get to that point that you are reliant on that data is automated, your teams are doing far more interesting things and far more valuable things. Also, the fact that data needs to be available immediately. You can't wait to a month end or a period end. You want to have that data almost real time. And certainly when we think about the decision making of the business speed, the finance function simply has to be operating at the same performance. So if we take that automate everything to its kind of natural conclusion, how do you think about that creation of almost an autonomous finance function going forward?
As automation is one of the 3 A's of finance innovation I really strongly believe in. As we talk about automation, analytics, and artificial intelligence, so the 3 A's of innovation. I think it's critical for finance organizations, to do this transition into a more strategic role. And, if you say yes to strategic decision making, if you say yes to owning business model innovation and all the cool stuff we just talked about, you also have to say no to something, because a day, unfortunately, only has 24 hours. So I think customers have to say no to tedious, manual, error-prone processes. And I think today it goes really beyond streamlining processes, reducing costs. I think it's continuous business process optimization. I think in the past was a little bit a guessing game, but I think now with process, with task mining, I think finance teams have a real clear view on what are the process bottlenecks and what are the friction points. So I think it's not only for financial operations, but I think across all operations that is autonomous finance, I think, as you talked about it, is maybe achievable already, or at least in the near future. And I still think, you have to offer this automation at the pace of a customer. We work with customers in very different levels of automation. So I think for this reason, what we are trying to do is, how can we ensure automation capabilities, that can be rolled out in a flexible way, so it can be configurable, it can be scalable. So at the ultimate goal, as I said, we want to have an autonomous continuous close process. You would like to have real insights activated. You would like to, of course, have this secure on every level of the organization. So I know it sounds like a dream, but I think this dream is about to come true. So I still feel the impact of the AI, generative AI, as we call it, on reporting, analytics, on insights, on planning, on forecasting, I think will be mega. So I think, gone are these times where you need deep data science expertise, and they've spent hours and hours just to slicing and dicing through data. I think with AI finance professionals, they will, ask questions and hopefully get data very quickly and insights they can, just use to make informed and better decisions.
The 3 A's of innovation, I love that. I think I'll be using that, Georg, in meetings with my own clients. So we've talked about the changing of the function, and we've talked about the technology that underpins that function as well. But the role of finance in individuals is changing as well. So, for me, we see a very different kind of person in the finance function today. They're very data-driven. They want to be empowered. They don't want to be reliant on other parts of the organization. But they also have to be able to really craft stories and tell great narratives so that their key stakeholders can really work out the key points that they need to focus on, rather than kind of looking at a bunch of data. How does Microsoft think about designing their products for the user professional of the future?
Yeah, it's a very valid and important point. And I think empowering professionals to be, more than, I call it the numbers guy, as not meant now in a negative way, and becoming a catalyst, through storytelling and being sort of front runner of, the function category solution and development there. Again, I think AI can help there, because AI can now summarize, large amounts of data. It can give you articulate conversation points. For example, we delivered June 15th enhancements for what we call the collection experience, or a collection agent with Copilot. A collection agent is not only, has KPIs, of course, on what kind of things to do, but it also gets, talking about how do you proactively have a conversation and communication with your customers. Because I think modern collection is not just about hounding customers for payments, but you would like to work proactively with customers and, keep these accounts in a good standing and driving customer loyalty. So again, I think a lot of things happening in this space. So this was not just accounts receivable, but I think you also have a lot of examples for accounts payable, good examples for record to reports. I think in every financial function, I think there's a lot of enhancements coming. And when I think about AI, the A in AI for us is not artificial, it's augmented intelligence, because, we still feel that, generative AI can help finance people to make better decisions or faster decisions. And I think the enhancements we have seen now in ChatGPT 4, specifically for numeric data, I think for me is beyond impressive. And we just did a hackathon also in my own development environment and teams. And, we delivered what we call summarization features for project managers, for financial analysts. And is it already 100%? I don't think so. But, honestly, if I get an 80% proposal I can work on, compared to nothing I have to start from scratch, I think it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned AI several times, and, when I speak to our executives of clients and prospects in banking, in insurance and in telco, some of our biggest areas, the value of the accounting hub and the technology subledgers that we've been talking about for some time is all about the data that sits within them and be able to create these great big data sets that people can start to mine. But with AI, of course, that completely changes the game, because the volume at which you can do that and also the output just goes up exponentially. For me, that real-time data becomes a reality, and it also means that the decisions that businesses can take can literally be in the moment, as opposed to at a period end as well. I think that's hugely important. So how do you see AI specifically changing the finance function, and what do you think organizations need to do to prepare themselves to be able to take advantage of that opportunity too?
As at Microsoft, we're really committed to revolutionize the future of finance by, harnessing the power of what we call intelligent, composable technologies. And we are trying to infuse, AI, automation, analytics, the 3 A's I mentioned before, into every business process, and trying to really unlock, a completely new era of productivity and shifting, how finance and operations teams are working. And if you look at generative AI capabilities for Microsoft, I think it's it marks a transformative chapter in the evolution of ERP systems. I strongly believe we're really at an inflection point there. And I think with this ability we talked about, to speed up insights, intelligently automate processes, foster productivity, I think it has really the potential, the AI revolution, to, do business management, optimize operations, stay ahead of the increased complexity I think every company is facing. And I think it's really changing, how you deal with these complex landscapes. And I really encourage everybody to look at Microsoft Build. As we just had this event, and if there's time, watch the keynote of Satya, the keynote of Kevin Scott, our CTO, the keynote of Scott Guthrie, who is leading Cloud and AI. They really very nicely explained and outlined, how we provide the AI platform based on Azure, and how do we basically deliver on all these promises basically we talked about in a reliable, in a responsive, and in a safe way. And that's the foundation basically my teams are using to build these scenarios you talked about. This is the same foundation partners will use. This is the same foundation our customers will use. And because of this, I think we will see a huge acceleration of innovations and new solutions there. And I think the big benefit is, instead of using 80% of your time in trying to scale AI, trying to do the whole data preparation for AI, thinking about how do you guardrail the systems, how do you make the systems safe. I think now using AI based on the platform we're providing, you can spend 80% of your time really thinking about how we'll drive business innovation in finance and basically really rethink how business operations works. And speaking of business value, I think a good example, as you mentioned, is the accounting hub of Aptitude. And by integrating finance, with Aptitude, FinApps, I think our joint customers, they can now adopt real-time processing, to reduce time to close, to get better financial analytics, or just improve, compliance. I think it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you use the word composable there. It's absolutely one of the key principles we have in the development of our technologies as well, because historically, I think people had a choice of either going for a single stack end to end, kind of locked in for almost decades, or going best of breed. And I think that composable view that ourselves and obviously Microsoft also shares means that our clients would of course expect us to drive much more integration ahead of their engagement, but also means they can get the benefit of best of breed components, and also bringing in new technologies, like generative AI, but without having to have that entire full stack engagement. So what's your take on that? I mean, your partner facility or your partner engagement is very strong. It's one of the things that attracted to us. But how does Microsoft feel about that kind of best of breed kind of connotation?
It's a very interesting point of view. And when I was thinking about these terms, best of breed, I mean, I think you call it best of breed, best of suite, or as you said, full stack. I mean, these terms, they were very heavily used in the on-premise times. And I think it was much more important there because innovation was delivered in a much slower pace. It was like, every 2 years, maybe you got a new update. But I think now in the cloud, innovation cycles are much faster. So for example, we are shipping in monthly cycles. So I think this completely agree with your statement, but I think these lines between best of breed, best of suite are kind of getting blurry in the cloud. And I think for me, it's almost more like an and than an or. It's not a decision you have to make. And as I said, composability, extensibility, I think these are core within, the products in the Microsoft Cloud we are delivering. So I think customers are looking not for one innovative solution. So they're looking basically for a rapid platform, because the only thing we know is change is just accelerating. I think it's just getting, this innovation cycle is just getting faster and faster. So I think this mindset across the Microsoft Cloud, I think including, of course, Dynamics, the Power Platform, I think in my view, I mean, there's no reason why a customer should lock themselves into a single stack, or as we call it, a black box suite, which is very difficult, to change. I think organizations of all sizes, I think they need basically both of these words, also the platform and then basically best of breed. And I think Microsoft AppSource supports this position for us, and I think does it with the open APIs. I think it's a good value proposition.
We definitely agree with that, and I think the your point on technology acceleration, it's just going to continue, and that means that hopefully our clients can get the value of that as well. It probably brings me on to the point. We were thrilled to become an ISV Connect partner last year, and we've got incredible value. Both engaging with Microsoft, but also making sure those integrations happen really quickly. But obviously, because we're working with joint clients and joint prospects. Can you talk about some of the reasons why Microsoft selected Aptitude particularly as an ISV Connect partner and the sort of joint benefits we should expect to both be able to deliver to our clients?
And absolutely. So I think one of the main differentiations we have is our unique ERP marketplace for ISV solutions. I think, I haven't done the research, but I claim it's the biggest ERP marketplace out there. And I think it's a very compelling offer for our customers, because they will find a solution almost for every situation. And they're not now depending on the speed of our innovation. They're depending on the speed basically of the platform we provide and all the basically partners we have on top. So, and in this context, selecting Aptitude as an ISV Connect partner, I think was a very smart decision. Our global large customers, hoping to consolidate everything into one single system, I think is a dream, and I think it might stay a dream forever, because these companies, they invest, they divest, they merge, they acquire. So I think what they need is an affordable way of connecting data from across, different ledgers to sub-ledgers, and to create this consolidated financial reporting, to being compliant, insightful. So I think the technology integration with Aptitude, will provide Microsoft customers, basically with this consolidation view, the single source of truth for financial data, accelerating what we talked about, the close process, improve compliance, enhance audit control. So I think with one cohesive solution, I think we will turn complexity of finance digitalization into, I think, an opportunity to achieve more with less through, more connected financial data, process simplicity and centralized government. So I think this is a very compelling value proposition, and I assume you would agree with that.
Yeah, I think the more time we've spent with Microsoft over the last 6 months, the more we found that actually we're talking the same language, we have the same ambitions for our clients, and actually there's a real alignment with our technologies as well. So, with all of the discussion we've had today, particularly the stuff around the AI, I think there's, that the future is really bright for all of our existing clients, but also the choices that new clients and new prospects can make choosing Microsoft and Aptitude together. Georg, really fantastic session this morning. Really enjoy sharing those views. I look forward to doing some more with you over time, but thanks again for taking the time to speak to Aptitude today.
No, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for inviting me. Really enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we can do it again pretty soon. And of course, also congratulations what Aptitude have achieved so far. So very impressive.
Thank you very much, Georg.